Hi there, welcome to Block Talk Live with Deanna and Quinn. My name is Deanna Hansen and I'm a certified athletic therapist and the founder of Fluid Isometrics and Block Therapy.
And my name is Quinn Castellane. I'm one of the lead block therapists and a natural bodybuilder.
Today we're going to be talking about solutions for snoring and sleep issues.
Yep.
Say that 4 times fast. I've been practicing.
No kidding.
So this is something that, not only affects the person snoring, but also affects the person sleeping beside the snorer. And we know that without a really good night's sleep, that's going to affect your health, it's going to cause you to age faster, and generally we just don't feel well when we're not well rested. And, snoring is also a precursor to other issues down the road like sleep apnea. So we're going to be discussing the mechanics of snoring, why it happens, and we're going to give you some very direct things that you can do with a block, as well as some strengthening exercises you can do if you don't have a block. So basically block therapy, it's really all about cellular alignment and proper diaphragmatic breathing. And they've also shown that sleep apnea is directly linked to issues with the heart. And it's no wonder, because everything is connected in the body.
Totally.
And what's really interesting is the alignment of the rib cage is the foundation for the alignment of the head and the neck and the shoulders. And one of the things that we've talked about so much in past, something like frozen shoulder, for example, they don't have a solution for frozen shoulder. And the reason is because when people have frozen shoulder, they tend to work on the shoulder, but that's the pain site. There's a cause site that is causing that shoulder to be frozen and to be a problem. And it's generally the lower part of the rib cage, because we collapse into the core due to unconscious posture and breathing over time. So this collapse affects everything up the chain. So just like with snoring, we have to look at the big picture and correct what's necessary in our alignment and get our breathing working so that we can actually feed our brain properly, because that's part of what we need to do in order to go into a deep sleep. Is the brain needs to have proper oxygenation to be able to go into the rest phase as well. So Quinn, do you have anything to share?
Well, even for me, this is kind of funny because I used to snore. They called me the chainsaw. I was so loud. It was insane. I actually remember you guys saying that. And it's ever since I started doing the work that, I don't know if I'm snoring or not, but other people told me, hey, you don't snore anymore. And it's because I've been doing the work. It's because I'm aligning everything so nothing's getting blocked or clogged while I'm sleeping. I have proper flow, so everything's functioning more correctly than it previously was. And for me, that's eliminated my snoring, but again, a lot of other issues as well.
Well, and personally, having spent time with you over our life traveling together, I do know that you did used to snore, because I have shared a room with you and you kept me awake. And now that's gone. And I remember, you as a kid, you were a hockey player, you were super intense, and you were very, very forward, very tight.
Compressed.
Very compressed. So ultimately, snoring is a result of the tongue muscle falling back and going to the back of the throat and creating a reverberation. And so what we talk about in block therapy is proper alignment of the tongue and how to strengthen that muscle. So the nice thing is we have the capacity to change whatever situation we're in by understanding how to bring ourselves back to correct alignment and how to open those roadways properly so that we can actually undo what time has created.
Yeah.
So let's show people a couple of examples of how to use the block in some of the cause sites. And then let's also show some strengthening exercises that you can do whether or not you have a block, that if you do it on a regular basis is also going to help align your upper body, your rib cage, as well as your head and your neck, so we can create more space in this area and we can minimize the effects of snoring that, again, later down the road can be something far more drastic like sleep apnea, where you actually need a machine to help you breathe at night, which we want to just strengthen our body properly so we can function as we're meant to.
Totally.
So Quinn, I'm going to have you demonstrate a lower rib position.
Right lower rib?
Yeah.
All right. So this position, we've done it before in the past. So under the right chest, I'm doing my right side. You can do your left. But under the right chest, literally on these low ribs, I'm going to have the block position flat. So again, I'm on those ribs. The block will be flat on the floor. For those who are more advanced, you can definitely turn it to its side. And then as you approach this, nice and slow, on those low ribs where I positioned and pointed towards, bend your left leg to your side if you would like, And then you can stay up on your forearms and your elbows. And then once you start settling into this position, you can bring yourself flat to the floor. You can even reach your right arm directly overhead to create even more length in this area.
So this is all about creating space in the tissue where we have lost space. And when we compress over time, the fascia, the connective tissue that we're working in, it literally glues and seals to itself and to bone. And that is really what's causing the issue here, is the rib cage is getting pulled forward, and that is causing the head to become pulled forward as well. So by working with the block in this area, we're creating a melting of the adhesions between the layers of fascia, and we can go all the way to the bone with the block, because bone and wood share a similar density. They communicate very well together. And you'll notice that Quinn isn't moving really fast here. He's just basically moving as his tissue is telling him to, which is another reason block therapy is so profound. We teach you how to use your pain as your roadway into the deeper parts of yourself, so you can create those deeper releases and then access proper diaphragmatic breathing. So, you know, one of the things that's interesting to note here, he's not simply lying on this block. Through instruction of proper breathing, we're also turning on the internal furnace by proper diaphragmatic breathing. So we're getting a heating effect from the inside of the body as well as from the outside of the body, because pressure over time creates heat. So where the block is that external pressure, and then you combine that with that diaphragmatic breath, and we get a very effective heating and melting effect of those adhesions between the layers of fascia. So Quinn, come on up. And we always stay in a position for a minimum of 3 minutes when we're doing the block. And the reason for this is because we're wanting that melting effect. You can't rush melting. If you had a block of ice, you couldn't make it melt any faster than the heat allows it to melt. Correct. You can turn up the heat. And that's the importance of breathing, because we can simply lie on the block and not connect to the breath, and we're still going to get some heating, but that's going to be an external heating. We want to combine that with that internal heating of the breath, and then that heating mechanism becomes very effective at opening up those channels and creating a change in posture. So, and go ahead.
This is actually something, when I was a little skeptical, when I very, very first started block therapy, which all of us are a little skeptical, so I tried that out. I was like, okay, I'm not going to really be conscious of what I'm doing. I'm just going to lay on the block, not really focus on my breathing too much, and see what happens. And then I did the same position on the other side, and then I really optimized the proper diaphragmatic breath. And literally with every breath you take, you can feel the pain going away, like that fast. And then I was like, okay, the breath is everything. Like, that's what I realized. So you can even give that a test. Like, I wouldn't recommend it. Just when you optimize the breath, that's when the most dramatic changes happen.
And I love that you said that. The breath is everything. And if we breathe consciously, diaphragmatically from childhood on, we wouldn't need the block.
Yeah.
Because we would be aligned properly with our cells, and we would be feeding every cell properly and keeping them clean. But the reality is we haven't been breathing properly. So because of that, gravity is winning. Yeah. Gravity is compressing us, it's pulling us down, we're winding down in whatever way that we do, based on injury, surgery, whether you're right or left-handed. All of these things come into play as to how the body winds down. But if we were breathing properly lifelong, that conscious full exhalation is the counterforce to gravity.
Yes.
So by doing proper diaphragmatic breathing, we don't allow gravity to win, because they're balancing forces. Yet we aren't breathing properly, and it's go ahead, sorry.
No, I just remember you telling me this. One of Newton's laws was, with every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if gravity is pulling us down, technically there has to be an equal and opposite reaction, and that's the full exhalation through the diaphragmatic breath. Because when you exhale completely, the diaphragm moves against the force of gravity. So if we're continually breathing this way, then exactly what Deanna mentioned, gravity's not going to be affecting us nearly as much as it is currently.
And the diaphragm is simply a plate here, so when we inhale, it moves down with gravity. When we exhale, it lifts up against gravity. And when lots of people are talking about taking a full diaphragmatic breath, they take a full in breath, but they don't connect properly to that full exhalation.
Exactly. That's why people say, oh, it's way easier to exhale more than inhale. Well, you're not exhaling fully. They're going, there's still so much more of the breath that they're not connecting to. And that's because we're fighting that force of gravity.
And I always like using the analogy about cleaning out the closet. So if you were to go and buy an entirely new wardrobe for yourself, you wouldn't go and throw that into a closet full of old clothes. You would take the old clothes out before putting the new clothes in.
Yeah.
And that's the same with the breath. We want to fill our body with oxygen, but first we have to rid it of the toxins and the waste before we pull that breath in. So we always make the full exhalation the focus of block therapy because, again, that's the harder action. It has an extra force of gravity that it has to counter in order to work properly. So we want to strengthen that. We also ask people to exhale for a count of 6, inhale for a count of 4. By making the exhalation the fuller part of the breath, we actually keep our body more oxygenated and cleaner and healthier and lifted. And it's also like doing a core workout.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we can sit and do a bunch of sit-ups and work the superficial abdominal muscles, but I did that. I used to do 400 sit-ups a day, and I just got a big belly and a sore back and a lot of anxiety and depression symptoms from that.
Yeah.
So when we learn how to squeeze the belly small with every breath and relax it and take a full inhalation, we're actually working those core muscles all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do. We want to have a free-flowing core. But back to snoring and sleep issues now, I would also like you, Quinn, to demonstrate the sternum position. This is such an important area to work. So you demonstrate.
All right, so I'm going to be doing 2 different variations here. I'll show you the first one, which is my preference because you can get deeper. However, if you have issues with your knees or your low back or acid reflux, I would do the second variation. So here's the first one. The block's going to be on its high side. Again, right in the middle of the sternum, approximately right between the chest on that flat bone. Make sure the knees are not too far away from the block so that you're in control, and then just slowly approach yourself on the block. And then you can have your hands by your side, your forearms by your side, whatever works best for you. And then the second variation, we're approaching it very similar. We're just turning the block onto its side, and then you are laying directly on the block, just like this. So the other variation, I feel I'm in a little bit more control with the pressure. However, if you have those issues again with the knees, low back, acid reflux, I would recommend doing this one.
Okay, so you can come back on up, Quinn, so we can discuss this. You can see how easy it is to do block therapy. It really takes no skill. It's more about the patience of being on the block and connecting with the breath. But the reason that this position is so incredibly important is fascia will grip and adhere to bone with that
2,000 pound per square inch seal.
So crazy force. And the sternum is a long, flat bone. So there's a lot of surface area right here for that fascia to glue and to hold us out of alignment. And that ends up pushing the heart and the lungs to the back of the rib cage, the thymus gland, which is right under the sternum bone. It's getting blocked. There's so many things that are so important for our health in here that are being affected. So this area is really important to release. And then when you release this, now you can do this whether or not you're doing block therapy, but Quinn, let's now show them how to strengthen and lift the rib cage up. So this is a great thing to do, especially after you've just released that tissue. But again, even if you haven't, this is going to help to properly align that rib cage. So you're going to have your arms by your side, palms facing each other. Now, the goal is that we move the thoracic spine into the body by lifting the rib cage up off the ground. So whether or not you have your knees bent or your legs straight, doesn't matter, whatever makes more sense for you. And then we want to activate the arms by pushing them into the floor as you lift your rib cage up. And then you want to focus on proper diaphragmatic breathing. So the belly should be rising and falling here with the breath. This is strengthening the muscles in the rib cage to be more correctly aligned. So you can see, Quinn, how his belly is moving up and down here. That tells us that he's breathing with the diaphragm muscle. And if you're not certain if you are, you can always place your hands on your belly to find out for sure. In block therapy, we always start with the belly position. So you're lying on your front, the block is right on the belly button, and that is our way of teaching people how to access this muscle and breathe diaphragmatically. For those of us that haven't used that muscle in years, it's not that easy to encounter, but block therapy makes it easy to find with that. So again, this is a really great exercise to strengthen and to put that rib cage into better alignment. You want to come back up?
Sure.
How did that feel?
Really good.
And you were only down there for, I don't know, maybe a minute. And it was a bit of a workout, wasn't it?
Oh, of course.
Of course.
But it brings everything into its correct alignment. Like, it wants to bring your shoulders back as well.
The really cool thing about this is it's isometric work. So we are isometrically strengthening the body. When you hold in a position and you access your breath, it's very powerful at creating that proper cellular alignment so we can move everything back into a better position.
And it's the healthiest way to strengthen your body, your muscles, your fascia, is through the isometric resistance.
Exactly. So now we've opened up the rib cage, and now we want to access the tongue muscle. So Quinn, can you explain how that tongue muscle should be properly aligned?
Yeah, so you're all going to feel with your tongue, bring your tongue to the roof of your mouth, and then feel your teeth. So again, if this is the roof of your mouth, this is your teeth. Bring your tongue to the roof of your mouth. You're going to feel your teeth. Then about a centimeter distance away from the front of your teeth, you're going to feel a bit of a ridge. So that ridge is where we believe the tongue should be docked and positioned. So you're bringing the tongue to the roof of the mouth, about a centimeter distance back so that your tongue's docking in that ridge, and that's going to help bring the tongue into its correct alignment. So we're bringing the tongue to the roof of the mouth, back, and then down the throat, and that's going to help strengthen the tongue muscle in its correct alignment, and that's actually where it's supposed to be positioned. There's probably going to be some of you, when I first started, I couldn't really pull my tongue back too far, and that's because the tongue muscle is actually frozen. It's glued in its incorrect alignment. So again, we're going to show you this little strengthening exercise to help unglue and strengthen the tongue muscle into its correct alignment, so that we can use that muscle to help support the weight of the head and the neck and to eliminate any sleep issues.
And what's interesting is the tongue is a unique muscle. It is the only muscle in the body that is only attached in one place. All the other muscles have two attachment points, but the tongue is attached right above the thyroid, and then it's this muscle. So if it becomes weakened and it gets adhered into this area when we're sleeping, it becomes this big block to that roadway for air, which again, initially snoring is that first sign that, something, that the tongue is weak. But down the road, as it becomes weaker and weaker and becomes heavier in this area, it can literally block the passage for breath, which again leads to something like sleep apnea, which isn't a condition that obviously nobody wants to have to sleep with a machine, but it's something that can also be reversed by strengthening the tongue and by releasing those adhesions. So with the block, we can also do the work on the neck up through here. There's, again, 47 positions in the intro series alone that covers the whole body. So all of these areas of restriction we want to release with the block, but then that's not the end point. We also want to strengthen these muscles to create that proper support. And like anything, when you have a nice muscle that's toned and working for you, it doesn't spread out and become this hindrance. So I'm going to make you stick your tongue out.
Of course. I love sticking my tongue out on camera.
Right. So simply by doing this exercise alone, first of all, you would tuck your chin slightly and then stick the tongue out as far as you can. And just by sticking the tongue out, you'll likely notice some pressure and tension in through this area because, again, this muscle is attached in through here. We want it to be attached only at the one side, not sticky and glued in through this whole area. So as you're holding it out and breathing, you start feeling where it's stuck. And then we can work the block in these areas and actually release it. But the tongue fatigues. Like, did you notice it was fatiguing?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, if you make it a point every day for 10 full exhalations while you're holding your tongue out, that's going to really help to strengthen this muscle.
Make a huge difference.
And you can even play around with it. Like, you can stick your tongue straight out, you can take it off to one side, hold it for 5 breaths, take it to the other side. It's a muscle like any other muscle that we want to...
Try it right now even. Like, literally do it. Like, you're not going to want to do it in front of people. Don't do it in front of camera like what I'm doing, but you can do it like when you're driving, when you're alone, whenever. But seriously, try it right now. Hold it for 10 full exhalations and see if you even notice a difference from just doing that one time, because I notice a difference every time I do it. And more range of motion, more strength, just completely different, and then see how that's going to contribute to manage your sleep issues.
And I'm going to put a challenge out there for anybody that does snore, and your partner will be the one to tell you this likely, and maybe even, you know, coerce you into doing this. Before you go to sleep, do the exercise where we have you opening up the chest and then activating the tongue. So this is literally going to take you 5 minutes. If you do that before going to bed every single night, then you align your body before sleeping. So over time, that's really going to add up, and it's going to create more space so that you can have a better night's sleep and not block those very important roadways.
Roadways, yeah. Awesome.
Okay. So let's demonstrate one more strengthening exercise they can do for their tongue and for their neck, though. So let's get you back on the floor. This is a great exercise for so many reasons. It's all about properly aligning the head and the neck. And we're going to use the tongue muscle, but we're also going to strengthen the muscles in the back of the neck. So again, while Quinn is lying here, just tuck your chin slightly, and then move your head into the back of the floor using your tongue muscle. So remember where that tongue muscle should be aligned, about a pinky nail distance from your teeth. And the tip of the tongue isn't poking up to the roof of the mouth, it's the tongue, the whole surface area moving to the roof of the mouth. That's the muscle that you're going to be focusing on to create the strength to move the head into the floor. And what you're going to feel is the back of the neck lengthening. So you can even take your hand to the back of the neck and feel those muscles being activated. And again, this is an excellent exercise to help to properly strengthen and align the neck. And if people have issues with arthritis in their neck or limited range of motion or just neck tension, this is going to really help this as well, because we're working a muscle that has been forgotten for one of its purposes, which is to help support the weight of the head. And when we strengthen it, it takes a lot of stress off the muscles of the back of the neck, even the jaw. So if you have jaw pain, this is another reason that you want to work this area and this muscle and strengthen it as much as you can. So you can come on up, Quinn. Got you going up and down.
It's a little workout.
And last week we were talking, was it last week we were talking about digestive issues, or somewhere along the way we were talking about that?
That was 2 weeks ago. Last week was heart health.
And the fact that simply eating properly will also strengthen your tongue muscle, because people don't chew enough. So that's another way that we can really make this muscle stronger, is by slowing down our chewing, which is going to improve digestion and so many other issues. But just the act of moving the food around your mouth, feeling symmetrical in your chewing, that's working your tongue muscle. So the more we can integrate that, the stronger the tongue gets. You've also got a sequence now of some exercises that you can do as well. If you are interested in doing block therapy, it is phenomenal at releasing that seal and creating the change in the tissue head to toe. Because again, we are connected head to toe, so we can't just focus on one area and expect a result. We have to look at the whole picture and really understand the fascia system and the alignment of the cells and what we want to do to oxygenate them and feed them properly.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if you are interested and you want some more information, go to unblockyourbody.com and download your free gift. And if you want to have a call with me, a free health strategy session, I will pick up that phone as soon as you send it in, and we'll get on a call and we'll see if this is something that makes sense for you. And the next 2 Thursdays, Quinn's going to be away and then I'm going to be away. So the next time we're going to see you is February 25th at 11 a.m. Central. We are going to be doing a 90-minute free block class for these issues, for heart health, for stress, anxiety, and for sleep. It's all connected. So it's going to be an amazing class. Basically, from the waist up, we're going to be opening up the ribs, getting the head and the neck properly aligned, opening up your shoulders. So it's going to be a fantastic class. We'll do a little bit of strengthening in there as well. There's a link.
I put the link in the description box right now. So you need to like the Block Therapy Facebook page, because we're going to be doing the live class from that page, not from Deanna's profile. So just click the link and then make sure you click like on the page, and then you're going to get notified when we're live. You'll literally get notified when we're live, and we'll be live right at 11 o'clock on that Saturday. And we'll be posting more information leading up to that day. And
if you know that you're going to be at that class and you need a block, you can go to our blocktherapy.com website. We have a store there. You can order your block. You can order the big block, the little block. We've got 2 different sizes depending on what you need. Having both is a great idea. I use them both.
Yeah.
But for the average size adult, the Block Buddy, the big one, is the one that you would want.
This one, yeah.
That's the one. So thank you so much for your time. We will see you February the 25th, and we're going to put a little more information beside this when we're done. So we'll see you in a couple of weeks.